Hakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Chagigah Daf Kavet Amud Aleph. Kavet Amud Aleph, we were just mentioning the concept that Rava comes and he argues on Rabbi Ilah and he made a gizera. The gizera, why you're not allowed to do a tevilah, kli b'toch kli, one utensil inside of another utensil, because maybe you're going to take a machat or this small mazleg, this needle or small forks that they use for kneading, and you're going for weaving, and you're going to put it inside of a utensil that the top part of the utensil, the mouthpiece, is less than a shoferet, is less than the 5 centimeters, which was like a reed, which was hollow, and therefore we're going to say it's not considered connected to the mikveh. So therefore, when you put it inside, you didn't do tevilah inside of the mikveh, you did it tevilah inside of the kli, which does not help. So says the Gemara, Savala. So now we're going to add on to Rava. Rava holds Kehad Amar Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. That which Rav Nachman says the name of Rabba Baravua. Achat esre ma'alot shanuka. There are 11 ma'alot here. Because why? Because obviously the first case and the 5 are not the same. Right? They're not the so since it's not the same thing, so what happens? So you have 11 cases. It's not 10 cases. So he says, Achat esre ma'alot shanuka. Sheyesh shesh rishonot. Here he splits it up 6 first ones. Ben lekodesh, ben lecholin shnasol tarat kodesh. Hacharonot, the 5 last ones, is going to be lekodesh, but not lecholin shnasol tarat kodesh. Right. So here now you have to change it. Now it's the first 6.
What's up with them?
Right? No, he didn't change it. It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. He just added 1 because number 1 and 5 are now separate. So since number 1 and 5 are now separate, it's the first 6. It's not the first 5. Beforehand was the first 5. It was 1 and 5 is all totovad. It's the exact same thing. Now 1 and 5 are different. So therefore it's the first 6. So the first 6 and then the last 5. So says the Gemara, Ma'ika ben de Rava l'Rabbi. What havdel is there halakha l'maaseh between, right, Rava and Rabbi Ilah? Right? At the end of the day, according to everybody, whether Rabbi Ilah or Rava, they have a different reason. Meaning, if you're going to come, you're right now Rabbi Ilah, and I come and ask, can I do tevilah keli betoch keli? So you're going to tell me, what are you trying to do? For kodesh or for truma? You're going to tell me kodesh. Kodesh asur, truma mutar. So therefore, okay, very good. I go now to Rava, right? Exact same halacha. So therefore, what do I care now about the reasons? Halakha l'maaseh, right? Is that same thing, right? Ma'ika ben de Rava de Rabbi Ilah. So says the Gemara, you know what the difference is? Ika benayu, the nafkamina between them, the practical difference between them is sal vegargutne shemile'an kelim vitbilan. We were talking about it's a very big basket that you went and you put it with kelim inside of it and you did tevilah. Leman damar, according to the mandamar, which is a bilah because of chatzitza, right? There's a problem with chatzitza here as well. What do I care if the basket is a huge basket that I'm putting inside, right? So he says, but by the end of the day, it's a big problem of chatzitza, right? Why? The kevedosh shel kli is going down, right? The heaviness is going down, and it's going to be a problem still of chatzitza. Leman damar, but according to the mandamar, mishum gezerah shema yizbol mechatim etzorno b'kli shem b'fiv shelo nod sal v'govetim shem b'fiv shelo nod leka. There doesn't exist such a case as a sal, right, which is a big basket, meaning a bottle, right, or certain utensils. They have mouthpieces. So the mouthpieces, some of them are bigger, smaller. A basket is a basket. There doesn't exist a basket that has smaller mouthpiece, which means that it's smaller. It's not a basket. A basket is something huge, right? And again, we're obviously not talking about, a basket that has holes all over the place, because if not, obviously the water could get through. We're talking about mamash, right? A basket that that will not penetrate. So therefore, in such a case of sal, that's a practical difference between them. Because according to Rabbi Ilah, there's still a problem of chatzitza. According to Rava, there's no problem because there's no such thing as an opening such a small, that's less than that. So obviously he would make a decree in such a case. The Azda Rava letameh, and Rava comes and he goes according to his reason. Why? Rava, because says Rava, salve gorgutu shmina kalim milim teorim, written mefurash. Meaning, don't just say that this is our logic saying this in Rava and Rabbi Ilah, the difference between the 2 cases. It's written mefurash. Rava says mefurash. If you came and you have this sal v'gurgutni, right? It's a type of a sal gadol. It's a type of a big basket, right? So if you have this big basket and you fill them up with a kilim and you did tevilah, then it's going to be tahor. Okay? So there's no problem. Continues, right? Rava comes and he says another halacha to do with the sal and the gurut, to do this big basket. Umikveh shechilko. When you have a mikveh, and you separated it to two different mikvaot. And in each one, it does not have the shiur of the mikveh. So you have one big mikveh, and I split it. So now I have two mikvaot, but they're both lacking. They both do not have. Besal, they both do not have 40 seh. Yeah? Besal ve'gergutni. So now what happened is that you put the sal, right, and the gurgutni, you put them in the middle of the mikveh to be the chatzitza. So therefore, the walls of the basket, right, are going to the top of the mikveh, okay, and therefore the waters are not touching on the top, okay. Because remember, if the waters are touching on the top, I don't care if there's a basket in the middle; it's still all connected. It was going from the bottom until the top. There's like a chatzitza. What is a chatzitza? This basket, and it's stopping between them. Hatovel sham. If you're going to come and you're going to do tevilah, right? Lo alta lo tevilah. It doesn't help. That means even though the walls, right, are filled, right? It says over here they are filled with little holes, right? It's not considered that they are muravim through the holes. Why? Because the holes themselves are smaller than the shvoferet hanol. Meaning, even if you're going to tell me sometimes in baskets, there's little tiny seeps, so little tiny holes, each hole is less than the 5 centimeters, less than the shvoferet hanol. So it does not connect the two sides together. He says because ground is also full of water, which is which is seeping through, right? But what? They're very, very small holes. Okay? And you always need 40 seah in one place. And here you don't have 40 seah in one place. So therefore, this is the proof that we say that Rava goes according to his reasoning. The sal, if it's a big sal, you can do whatever you want inside of it. You could actually come and put tevilat kelim inside of it. There's no problem. Okay? Now, when do we say that the tevilah does not help for a kli what's inside of another kli? The kli tahor, right? It's only in a kli tahor, which means the outer keli is tahor. Aval bekli tameh, but if it's going to be a keli tameh, migo de salka tevilah lekule gufe de mana, salka lehunami lekelim de it be. Since right now it's a migo. You know what a migo is? Migo is that the fact that it does it for this, it does it for this as well. Which means that since for the outer kli it does help, and it becomes tahor through the water which is coming inside, so too it's going to help for the ones which are coming on the inside. Right? How do we know this? He says the Tanambas we learned in the Mishnah. Kelim, this is mikvaot, perek vav Mishnah bet, kelim shemilian kelim yitbilan. When you have kelim, that you filled it up with other kelim, and you did tevilah, hare'elu teorim, they're going to be teor for truma. V'im lo taval, right? Here it says it's going to be tahor for truma. Okay, so he says v'im lo taval, if you do not do tevilah, ma'im ha'memoravim ad shiyu moravim k'shver nod. So he says now this says if you do not do tevilah, the waters which are mixed inside of it and are considered mixed until the shvoferet hanol. So the Gemara is now going to ask, what are we talking about now that you didn't do tevilah, but the mayim which are mixed inside of it are me'uravim? What's going on? Ma'ika Amar, what does it mean? V'im lo taval, you didn't do tevilah. So says the Gemara, Hachima, this is what it means to say. V'im eno tzarich latbilo. Meaning, v'im lo taval does not mean that you actually did not do tevilah. Because if you didn't do tevilah, obviously it's not going to be a good tevilah. It means v'im lo taval, lo tzarich tevilah. V'im lo taval means you do not need to do tevilah. Why don't you need to do tevilah? Because it's pure. It's already tov, right? So in such a case, right? And then, right, you come and you wanted to only purify the inside ones. So therefore, because of the mayim muravim, which is basically going to be in a mikveh, which you have inside, so it doesn't help. No, it doesn't help until you have shvoferet hanol in order to connect it. So therefore, it's written in Furash, right? That was the Mishnah. That basically it's the only time that you could do that. That means one more time. If this is tameh, okay, now I've got this inside of it, and I want to make it tahor. So therefore, I put them both inside. This is tameh. The machat, which is inside, is tameh. No problem. According to everybody in Truma, it helps. Why did I say specifically Truma? Because we just said Kodesh doesn't. We don't do it, right? But in Truma, you're allowed to do it. Keli b'toch keli, no problem whatsoever. Why migo? Migo is migo that it helps for this, it helps for that, right? Because of this, it helps for that as well. Okay. What are we saying now? Says the Mishnah Mefurash. However, though, what happens if this did not make tevilah? This is 100% pure. I only need to do tevilah on the machat which is inside, or on the mazlek katan which is inside. And now I do the dipping. Says the Mishnah, it only helps tevilah if the water is going to be mixed in with it, if it's got enough like shoferet anon. Because if it's got like this kaneh halal, again, this like reed, which is hollow inside of it, which is going to be the 5 centimeters, so then it's going to help the waters to purify the inside. But if not, it's not going to help. Says the Gemara, and now this machloket of Rav and Rabbi, whether our Mishnah number 1 was talking about kivedo shel kli, or because of a gezerah, because of chatzitza, or because of a gezerah that you don't want to do it within you don't want to do tevilat kelim inside of a utensil that has a, a small opening. Tanaihi is actually going to be a machloket Tanaim. Titania, but we learned in a Braita. Sal vegargutne shemilian kelim vitbilan. When you have this basket that you filled it up with utensils, then you did tevilah, ben lekodesh ben letrumat, whether according to kodesh or for trumat, it's going to be tahor. Now, reasoning is why? Because of Rava. Because obviously a sal, you never have this decree. So if you never have this decree in a sal that it's going to have a small opening, so therefore you're going to be permitted even for kodesh. Even for kodesh is going to be mutar. So that's the Tanakama. So that's like Rava. Abba Shaul Omer, Abba Shaul comes and he says, no, letruma it helps. Avalok kodesh. Why? Because he holds the reasoning as because of chatzitza. So it comes out that the machloket amoraim. Remember, amoraim are not tanaim. Tanaim were during the time of the Mishnah, matnitim, right? The braitot, which are the amoraim, come afterwards. Those are the time during the time of the Gemara. It's after the Mishnayot. So therefore, now what we're trying to say is this machloket between Rava and Rabbi is actually really a machloket between Tanakama and Abba Shaul. Tanakama holds like Rava. So the entire reasoning of the Yisur was why? Because of Gezerah. Gezerah, that may be the opening of the bottle. And the Abba Shaul holds like Rabbi That's because of Hasisa. Okay? So says the Gemara, Ihachi, if you're going to tell me that they made a Gezerah of Kli v'tochli for Kodesh because of Chatzitza, or because there's not going to be any type of a thing inside, meaning that there's not going to be the mouth opening piece. So he says Trumanami. So why don't we come and we make the same Gezerah by Truma? That was the question that I asked you at the beginning of the day today. I asked you, if you're going to tell me because of Chatzitza, so why is it only a problem of Kodesh and not a problem of Truma? So even a problem by Chulin, right? I'm going to come and I'm going to take a cup. If I do Tevilat Kelim and there's going to be a Chatzitza, it's a Chatzitza, Kaddish. There's nothing to talk about. So why all of a sudden now you're going to tell me that it's going to be okay for Kodesh and not for Truma? So says the Gemara, Leman Ka'amrinan, right? What are we saying, this halacha, that you cannot do Tevilat Keli Betokli? We're talking about Chaverim. We're talking about Tamidei Chachamim, which Tamidei Chachamim, they are medaktekim, they are always very precise in the dinim of Tumah v'Tahara. Because if it's in a Ma'aretz, they're not going to come and ask us how to do Tevilat Kelim. So says the Gemara, Chaverim mediyad. What are you talking about? Chaverim. Chaverim, they know the halachot. They know what's going on. So therefore, we're not going to start suspecting because of chatzitza or because of all these things. They know how to do all these things. Okay? So therefore, what's going on then? Okay? So therefore, what's going on is like this. Right? One more time. So basically, what happens is, right, is that this is the answer of the Gemara. One more time. Everyone's with me? The answer of the Gemara is like this. What did we just ask? We just asked, if you're going to tell me it's because of Chatzitza or because of Gezerot, so why don't we make the same decree by Truma? Why do we only have it by Kodesh? So answers the Gemara, who's the ones that's doing it? Tamidei Chachamim. And therefore, since it's Tamidei Chachamim, Chaverim are Tamidei Chachamim. So therefore, since the Chaverim are doing it, Tamidei Chachamim, they know these halachot, and therefore you don't have a problem that they're going to come and they're going to make mistakes of doing it because of chatzitza, because of kli shel kli, or doing it inside of a utensil which is so small. So the Gemara is going to ask, so if we're dealing with chaverim, so kodesh nami. So same halacha applies to kodesh then. Meaning like this, who are we dealing with? If we're talking about a me'aratzot, make the decree an all-right decree. Kodesh, truma, we're talking about chaverim, tamidei chachamim, so even for kodesh it should be okay. So says the Gemara, no. He says, Chaverim themselves, we don't have the problem. But what happens is, it's Chazile Amaretz, right? The Amaretz is going to see that a Chaver is doing Tevilah, Keli, Betoch Keli. The Azil Matpil, and he's going to do the same thing. And he's not a Baki, So he doesn't realize that he's going to do it, and therefore there's going to be a problem with chatzitzot, or there's going to be a problem that he's going to do it inside of a utensil, which the top part is very small. So that's why. Meaning, you're right. Mitzad the chaver, I don't have a problem. Mitzad the ma'aretz, the problem. Why? Because the ma'aretz, he does something. He comes, he sees the rabbi doing it, and he does it. But he doesn't know that the rabbi already knew the halachot. And therefore, the rabbi already knew that now it's going to float, it's not going to be a chatzitza in there, or that the top part was wide. The ma'aretz just sees, look, the rabbi is doing a utensil instead of a new utensil, so I'm going to do the same thing. And he doesn't know the halachot. So because of that, he's going to put his foot in it, right, or his hand in it, whatever you want to put it. So says the Gemara, 1 second, if it's going to be like that, so ask the same question in Truma then. I mean, again, one more time, we're trying to get the same logic. So if we're also by Truma, you have the same thing. Truma, the rabbis know what they're doing, but the Amaretz doesn't. So same thing is going to happen by Truma. Truma nami chazil Amaretz doesn't mean. Says the Gemara, lo mekablina minayhu. The Kohanim, which are chaverim, they b'derech klal do not receive Truma from the Amaretz because of chashash Truma. Because since the Amaretz is not believed on Truma v'tara, so therefore he's not believed on that. So because of that, we don't have to suspect by Truma. Okay, but by Kodesh, right, then we do accept it from an Amaretz, right? So therefore, it's going, so says the Gemara, Kodesh nami lo mekabel. So also do the same halacha by Kodesh. Don't accept Kodesh from an Amaretz. Remember, the Kodesh is the Korbanot. Truma, I'm not going to accept the Truma from the Amaretz because he's not believed on Truma v'tara. So I don't accept it from him. So therefore, okay, fine. So therefore, he could do whatever he wants. I'm not going to accept it. So there's no problem by Truma, but there's a problem by Kodesh. As the Gemara, don't accept Kodesh by him as well. So says the Gemara, Havileiva. Says no. If you're going to tell now the Amaretz, you're not going to receive the Kodesh from him. Kodesh is Korbanot. What's going to happen?
He's not going to bring the Truma.
No, there's going to be fights. Not Truma.
No, but if you don't accept Kodesh, then he's not going to bring the Truma.
That's what Gemara is going to ask. That why don't you also say the same thing by Truma? Once and before that. The Gemara is answering, if you're going to now tell me an Amaretz comes to you, right? And he says, I'm sorry, I don't accept it from you. What's going to happen? He's going to be, Amaretz is going to be, it's called strife. So it's called Eva.
He's hungry. He's going to be angry and he's going to be hungry.
100%. So
they could refuse.
Huh?
They can refuse.
Yeah, they could refuse. So the Gemara asks, if you're going to tell me already that they could refuse, why? Because of Amaretz. Truma also the same thing. It's Eva. Why is it that Truma, he comes to give the Kohen Truma, the Kohen says no, and there's no problem. But he comes to give Kodesh to the Kohen, and now the Kohen can't say no, because if not, it's going to cause Eva. What's the difference? So says the Gemara, the answer is very simple. By Truma, lo echpat means, right, the Amaretz doesn't care if he's not going to accept it. Because imagine right now, he's going to give it to one Kohen. That Kohen says, I don't want it. So what is he going to do? He's going to go to another Kohen. That Kohen is an Amaretz. He's going to accept it. He's never seen a Kohen Amaretz?
Back then.
Right.
Huh?
Back then, I didn't know.
Yeah,
You can
Kohen Amaretz. Kohen Amaretz.
You can give him your Truma.
100%.
בבית המקדש או לא בבית המקדש?
In the בית המקדש also.
נו, הם לא יודעים מה זה. כהן בבית המקדש לא יודע מה הוא עושה?
The Amaretz doesn't care. Because what's going to happen is the Amaretz, he comes, he tries to give it to the Kohen. The Kohen is not going to accept it. So then that's it. Okay? He's going to give it to another Kohen. So Kohen Amaretz. Right? Says the Gemara, who is a Tana that he suspects for Eva? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yosehi, which means like this. Who is a Tana that Bichlal speaks about this concept of Eva? That now there's going to be Eva between whether it's the Kohen and the Amaretz or Chavar. What's going on here? He says it has to be like Rabbi Yosef. The Tanya was going to the right, Amar Rabbi Yosef says Rabbi Yosef. Why is it that even an Amaretz, he's believed on Tara, on Yain and Shemen, on wines and on oils? Now remember, these are talking about wines and oils of Kodesh, which are used for whether it's Nesachim or Menachot. Nesachim is wine libations, and Menachot are for meal offerings. Kol Yemot HaShana the entire year. And we accept it from them. In order that every single person shouldn't make a bama. He's going to make a paraduma small, which means this. In order for us to maintain and to make sure that not every single Joe Schmo is going to come and open up his own kashrut or is going to open up his own his own bama, which is his own mizbeach, so we come and we accept it for everybody. Why? Because if not, I'm going to come. I'm going to say, listen, I brought it to the Bet HaMikdash. I brought it to the Kohen. He didn't accept it from me. So what am I going to do? I don't need him. I come, I build my own mizbeach, and I do it in my backyard. and here it is, and I do whatever I want. I do my own wine libations, I do my own this, so therefore they come and they accepted it from everybody. So therefore, this is going according to Rabbi Yosef that we accept it even from the Ma'aretz in order that not every single person will come and do whatever he wants. Okay?
אסור לעשות...
Fine. Okay. So there's a Gemara, Amar of Papa says, Keman mekablinan haina saduta me'amaretz. Like which shita, right? Like which Tana basically, do we accept nowadays edut from Ma'aretz, and we're not going to suspect that he's not going to be so medaktek in his edut. So says the Gemara, Keman Rabbi Yosef, like Rabbi Yosef. So says the Gemara, v'neichush l'she'ela. Why don't we say, right? Why don't we just suspect that maybe the Ma'aretz is going to see that they're doing tevilah, one kli without another kli for truma, and he's also going to do so. Now, even though it's not going to help us now, maybe he's going to ask a chaver for his kelim tmeim that it wasn't olelaim tevilah, and therefore he's going to use it for truma. So the Gemara is coming and saying, one second, from our Mishnah, from this Mishnah, we are going to actually ask the chaverim from kelim of Ma'aretz, and we're going to use it. That's not as we learned in the Mishnah in Aduyot. Listen to this. Kli cheres matzil ala kol. The Mishnah in Aduyot, Perek Al Mishnah Yudalet says, Kli cheres, when you have a kli cheres, earthenware utensil, right? Or earthenware utensil, completely closed. Matzil ala kol. What does that mean? Everything which is inside of it is still pure. What does that mean? There's no tumat met. It means even if there's a met in the oil and everything which is inside is still pure. It's still okay. Divrei Bet Hillel. These are the words of Bet Hillel. Bet Shammai says, "Eno matzil lo chalim el mashkim." It's only going to save food and drinks which are inside of it. Vel kli cheres, and on other kli cheres which is inside of this kli cheres, right? But everything which is metal, for example, or wood or clothing or everything, it's going to be tameh. So Amru lahem Bet Hillel Bet Shammai. It says Bet Hillel to Bet Shammai. What's the reason? Saying manashach, it's either that it's closed and everything inside is tahor, or it's closed and everything inside is tameh. But why are you telling me if it's utensils, like for example metal or wood or clothing, it's tameh? It's going to be food and drink, it's tahor. Why? So Bet Hillel asks Bet Shammai, why? So he says, Amru lahem Bet Shammai. Says Bet Shammai, mipnei shehu tameh al gabei ha'ma'aretz. He says, was a kli cheretz is going to be tameh with respect to an ha'ma'aretz, which means if the ha'ma'aretz touched it beforehand, then ha'ma'aretz is tameh, and therefore the kli becomes tameh. Ve'en kli tameh chotzetz. So kli tameh does not do a chatzitza, right, for the met. So says the Gemara, one second. Says Bet Hillel, Amru lahem Bet Hillel, one second. If you're telling me that the utensil became tameh through the ma'aretz, remember, we're talking about a kli cheretz. The ma'aretz already touched the kli cheretz and he made it tameh. So if the kli cheretz is tameh, and therefore it's not going to be a chatzitza for met, tumat met, so therefore, everything inside should become tameh. And you purified the food and drink. You only impurified everything else. Amru lahem Bet Shammai, says Bet Shammai, keshetiharnu ochalinu mashkin shebetocho. When do we permit the ochalinu mashkin inside of it? Kavbet amubet, le'atzmo tiharnu. Only for himself, which means for the ama'aretz himself, we permitted it. Why? Because anyway, chaverim, they don't accept anything from ama'aretz. It's not even food and drinks. Okay? So therefore, because Amaretz thinks that it's tahor. He says, but if we're going to come and we're going to say that even the kli is tahor, so therefore we purified it for everybody. And then even for the chaver, so therefore we're going to suspect that maybe the chaver is going to ask for kelim from the Amaretz and he's going to use them. So because he's actually using also for the chaverim to do the chaverim, it's going to be a problem. So because of that, the kli tameh is not chotzetz. So the kelim are going to be tmeim. So because of that, that's why we come and we are going to prohibit. Okay.